through the air and can then be safely caught by hand, e.g. shooter is at sea level and catcher is up a mountain at the extreme range of the gun.
Yeah. And can you repeat caught?
Caught.
Yeah. And e.g. is like, for example.
Uh-huh.
For example. So you can either say e.g. or for example when you see this.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. And
sorry, I have a question there.
yeah.
Why e.g.?
It's Latin.
Sorry?
So it's Latin.
Okay, it's Latin. Okay.
What? Actually, I used to know what it meant. Hold on. I can tell you for a second. Exempli gratia. So,
okay.
yeah, it's like a pre-example, I guess.
Like for me, it's supposed to be F-E or something like that, but why E-G? But that's okay.
Yeah, just Latin.
Okay.
It's like I.e. is id est, which is like that is, etc. is, and also like and so on. Yeah, so just all those Latin little things that we still use. Okay. And yeah. So Jean, can you read up until 1, and then when we get to 1, can you read that?
Absolutely. Yes. The bullet catch is a common magic trick in which a magician appears to catch a fire bullet in mid-fight, often between their teeth. This an illusion, of course, is not possible to catch a bullet like that.
Yeah, he missed the is. This is an illusion, of course.
This is an illusion. Okay.
And can you read the next little part?
Sorry?
Can you read this?
Sure. This was confirmed by Mythbusters in episode 4 of season 4.
Okay. And can you repeat confirmed?
Confirm.
Good. Okay.
Confirm.
Perfect.
Okay.
Confirmed. Any questions here? Okay.
No.
And Julieta, can you read the next part and also the number 2?
But under the right conditions, you could catch a bullet. It would just take a lot of patience. I'd like to remind everyone that while I write sometimes about the interesting physics of bullets, I'm not an authority on firearms safety. I was raised Quaker. I've never held a Quaker. I never held a gun, much less fired one.
Okay. Does anybody know what a Quaker is?
No.
No. Okay. No.
Okay, so Quakers, not very good pictures. It's like a religious group in the U.S. Yeah, so, yeah, just a religious group. I was under the impression they don't use any sorts of, like, technology. Oof, excuse me. But yeah.
Oh, I know now. I remember.
Yeah. So that's a Quaker. And, okay. Let's have, now, can you read the next part?
Sure. A bullet fired straight up would eventually reach a maximum height. 3. Don't do this in neighborhoods where people fire guns upward in celebration. Bystanders and routinely killed by foreign bullets.
Yeah.
Probably, it wouldn't stop completely. More likely, it would be drifting sideways at a couple meters per second. At that speed, as long as you are in the right place at the right time, you could snatch it out of the air. If someone fired a bullet upward.
Okay, good. Yeah, so that was good. Does anybody have any questions here?
What is the meaning of snatch? You could snatch.
Does anybody know what snatch means?
How is it?
So snatch.
I don't know.
It's like grab
Okay.
or take hold of. So if you snatch something, you just snag it or grab it.
Okay.
That'd actually be a really good class. A class about grabbing verbs. Okay. Yeah. Any other questions?
Number 3.
Number 3.
I mean, yeah. No.
Yeah. So. Okay. Pretty straightforward. And so let's have Jean. Can you start reading if somebody fired a bullet upward?
If
and then read the comics.
Okay,
Yeah.
sure. If somebody fire a bullet upward, never do this. And you were hanging out in a hot air balloon directly above the firing range. Okay, fire. Definitely never do this. It is possible that you could reach out and snag the bullet at the apex of its flight. If you succeed, you might notice something else. In addition to being hot, the bullet would be spinning. It would have lost its upward momentum, but not its rotation momentum. It will still have the spin give to it by the barrel of the gun.
Okay, nice. There's some difficult words here. Let's start with definitely. Definitely.
Definitely.
Huh? And apex?
Apex? Apex? Apex? What's the meaning?
The apex is like the very height.
Okay.
So if you've got like a loop, if you imagine that as being like a rainbow, the apex is like the highest point.
Oh, okay. The apex.
Can you also repeat odd? Yeah, odd.
Odd.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Rotational.
Rotational.
Uh-huh. And given.
Given.
And barrel.
Barrel.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
What is snag?
Okay. Snag is the same as snatch, pretty much. Snag is grab, is snatch, is take. Yeah. So we have a lot of verbs that kind of mean the same thing there. Make sense?
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Any other questions?
What's the barrel of a gun?
What's the what?
Barrel.
The barrel is like the
Where?
long straight part where the bullet leaves. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And okay. Let's have Julieta. Can you read the next part?
This effect can be seen dramatically when a bullet is fired at ice, floor water, as confirmed by dozens of YouTube videos and Mythbusters. Bullets fired into ice are often found still spinning rapidly. You'd have to grab the bullet firmly, otherwise it might jump out of your hand.
Good. Okay, what's the joke? This number 4. Why is that funny? It's kind of tricky. Not that bad though. It's just ice he's like kind of calling ice by a different name. He's saying it's floor water. It's like water that acts like a floor because it's hard and you can walk on it. Yes. So he's just making a really silly joke. Okay. And all right, let's have now. Can you read the next little paragraph?
If you don't have a balloon, you could potentially make this work from a mountain peak, Mountain Thor, which you may remember from question 51. Feathers are vertical drop of 1,250 meters, according to ballistic love close focus research. This is almost exactly how height 8.22 long rifle bullet will fly fired directly upward.
Okay. Directly.
Directly?
Yeah. And let's look at balloon.
Balloon.
And features.
Features.
And 22 caliber. So how high a 22 caliber long rifle?
22 caliber.
Yeah. So .22, it's just imply that it's 22 caliber. So even though the caliber is not there.
Caliber. What is caliber?
Caliber, it's like, so this would be a 22 millimeter or like a point. I don't really even know how it works. It's the size of the bullet.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think 22 caliber is relatively small. Hold on 1 second. 22 hundredths of an inch. Okay, so it's based on an inch. Yeah. And right. So any other questions here? Okay. And is anybody interested in seeing Mount Thor?
Yes.
Yeah. Kind of cool. Wow. That's ridiculous.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
I've never seen that before. It's really cool.
America.
I don't know where that is. But it's pretty sweet. We can find out where it is if you guys want. It's in Canada. Apparently. Cool. Wow. And right. So let's have, I guess, Jean. Can you read the comic?
Hey, I'm gonna have to call you back. Got a situation here.
Yeah. Okay. And then, can you read the next paragraph?
Absolutely. If you want to use large bullets, you'll need a much large drop. An AK-47's bullet can do over 2 kilometers upward. There are no purely vertical cliffs that are that tall, so you'll need to fire the bullet at an angle, and it would have significant sideways speed at the top of its arc. However, a suitable throw baseball glove might be able to snag it.
Okay. Good. And let's look at suitably.
Suitably.
Yeah, suitably. and larger.
Larger.
Yeah. Okay, I think other than that, you did a good job. Any questions?
What's the meaning of suitable? Again, suitably?
Good, suitably. It's like suitably, so something that suits the situation. So something that is like tough enough.
Okay.
So if you go to a wedding and you're wearing like a really old, this is lame because it's saying suit, but like some old clothes, your mom might be like, "Oh wow, you look terrible," but because we don't have time, I guess it's suitable. Like it will function.
Okay. I get it.
Okay. And any other questions? Okay. And let's have Julieta, can you read 6 and the next paragraph?
In fact, according to Rifle magazine, a gun rider once claimed that at 2,000 yards he could catch ordinary rifle bullets.
Did I lose you?
To see the bullet coming, so you'd be just as like to catch it with your face as with your glove. In any of these scenarios, you'd have to get extra. Sorry?
Keep going, sorry.
Oh, you'd have to get extraordinarily lucky, given the uncertainty in the ballot's exact hour. You'd probably have to fire thousands of shots before catching one at exactly the right spot.
Good. Okay. Questions?
Oh, is it correct saying that, given the uncertainty in the ballot exact arc?
Yeah, so given the uncertainty in the bullet's exact arc, so he's saying that...
arc. Okay.
Arc. Yeah.
Arc. I read arc.
Oh, yeah, it kind of does look like an E. Okay, and rifle? A rifle is like a long gun. So that's a rifle now. Okay. Any other questions? Maybe Julieta, he was being figurative? He was being figurative?
He was being figurative?
Yeah, perfect. And I think we're good on that. And let's have now, can you read the next line and the comic?
And by that point, you may find you've attracted some attention. Mom, we are getting reports that you're firing a gun at the hot air balloon. That wizard won't escape. He needs to return to Earth too and pay for his life.
He needs to return to Oz.
Oz?
Yeah. Anyways, does this make sense? Does everybody understand the joke here?
I cannot understand. Oz, what is Oz?
Oz is a land in the Wizard of Oz. So the really famous movie. It was like the first movie in color. I think. It might not have been. Yeah. I think it was the first movie in color. And there's the Wizard of Oz.
Yes, it's a classic.
Pardon?
This is a classic. The Oz, the Wizard.
Definitely is a classic. Yeah, so that wizard won't escape. Yeah. Anyways, does anybody have any questions before we move on to another reading?
His lies. Ah,
Um. Okay. There's also like a pop-up that you guys can't see that says he gave my scarecrow friend a prestigious degree that turned out to be totally useless for finding a job. Um, which is kind of just a joke about going to college. Um, anyways, let's learn about lake tea. And let's have Jean. Can you read the question?
What if we were to dump all the tea in the world into the Great Lakes? How strong compared to a regular cup of tea would the tea be?
Lake tea.
Lake tea be?
Good. Can you read the first sentence?
Weak, bordering on homeopathic.
Yeah. Okay. Weak, bordering on homeopathic. Does anybody have any questions here?
Two questions.
Mm-hmm.
Where are Great Lakes?
The Great Lakes are in the northeast of the United States. So New York is bordering a Great Lake. Michigan, Wisconsin. Does that make sense? I wonder if. Yeah. So if you like New York, and then you've got like Vermont and New Hampshire and Maine and Massachusetts down here.
The Niagara Falls are part of these lakes, right?
Mm-hmm. Niagara Falls are part of the lakes. Yeah, so Niagara Falls is like right over here.
Like near Buffalo.
Yeah, near Buffalo. But yeah, those are the Great Lakes from satellite, etc. Hopefully that makes sense. And other questions? Sorry?
Weak, bordering on homeopathic.
Homeopathic. Does anybody know what homeopathic means?
Just is like kind of I don't know if it's just the medicine, but is they use natural um, like plants or something like that to create medicine, drugs.
Yeah, so it's a natural way of like using medicine, but using very small amounts of substances. That, yeah. Make sense? Okay. And any other questions? Okay. And let's have Julieta. Can you read the next paragraph?
The standard cup of tea, as described by the International Organization for Standardization in ISO 3103, contains 2 grams of tea per 100 milliliters of water. Further ISO standards concerning tea includes ISO 5720 black tea, ISO 11,287 green tea, and ISO 40,502 -2. The
Yeah.
difference between black tea and green tea.
Yeah. So just like a standardization, so International Standardization Organization makes these standards that define how much tea you put in water, which I didn't know. But anyways, keep going.
The Great Lakes have a volume of about 22,600 cubic kilometers, which means we would need about 450 billion tons of tea to reach proper strength. Okay.
Good. It's a lot of tea. Questions here. This is kind of tricky. Okay. All right, now, can you read the next paragraph?
According to the Tea Board of India, 1 year's global tea harvest total only about 4.8 million tons.
Oh.
Using
Yeah, you could say it.
figures from this report extrapolated.
Yeah, extrapolated.
Extrapolated for the 2014. Only 100,000 of what we require to make Great Lake tea. If we dumped those 4.8 million tons into the lakes, the resulting tea would be about as strong as if we dripped 2 drops of tea in a bathtub. Proper bathtub tea, of course, requires 3 kilo bag.
3 kilogram bag.
3 kilogram bag. Technically, calling this kind of tea homeopathic is an exaggeration, since substances in homeopathy are diluted way more than this.
Diluted.
Diluted. What is diluted?
So dilute is to water down. So if you're diluting something, you're watering it down.
Okay.
It's just adding it more water. And substances in homeopathy. I'm not really sure how to say it in that way. Homeopathy. It's a weird word. I don't see it very often. Okay. Does anybody have any questions here?
Yes. Who spent time in writing this?
It's like a physicist. I don't know. He takes weird questions and writes about them.
These kind of research that I really don't understand. It's like weird research.
Yeah, it's definitely really weird. It's kind of cool that somebody like takes the time to research it, though. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool, but it's weird.
Definitely weird. All right, and so let's have Jean. Can you read the next part?
For better lake tea, we should find a lake with a volume of 240 million cubic meters, 0.24 cubic kilometers. Continue?
Yeah.
Okay. Gular Lake in Kashmir is one candidate. Its volume varies with the seasons, but during the winter it's just about exactly the right size. Unfortunately, it's shrinking for winter.
Unfortunately, it's shrinking. We don't really.
Okay. India is the world's second largest tea producer, so it's also conveniently located.
Conveniently.
Conveniently.
Yeah. Okay. And so, yeah, that sounded good. Any questions here?
No.
Okay. And let's have Julieta. Can you read the next 2 parts? All right. Oh, sorry. Whoa. Sorry. All right. Uswar.
Ullswater, in the UK's Lake District, is another great candidate, with a relatively stable year-round volume of about 0.23 cubic kilometers. It would be an excellent site for brewing a global cup of tea.
Yeah, read the next one.
Of course, while neither Buller Lake or Ullswater has ever been used as a giant tea kettle. Something like this was famously attempted in my own backyard in Boston. In 1770, I know that things. In 1773, a group of colonists disguised as American Indians
Let's have
as
now
American
read that
Indians
there.
boarded three British ships and threw the cargo of tea, around 44 tons of it, into Boston Harbor to protest the British-run tax policy.
Nice. Yeah. And let's have, well, actually, does anybody have any questions here before we get into that? Come on. Sorry. Any questions? No questions. Now, can you read list 5?
They dressed up as American Indians to align
Align
themselves politically with the Americans against Britain, invoking the popular European stereotype of the free and noble savage. The Mohawk people, the actual Indians who the protesters were mimicking, mistrusted the shelter encroaching on their land, sided with the Britain during the subsequent war, and afterward were driven from their homes by the Americans and fled to Canada.
Yeah. Good. Protesters.
Sorry. Protesters
sided and fled. Okay, good. Questions here.
What is mimicking?
Mimicking is copying.
Copying.
Yeah, so if you're mimicking somebody, you're doing the same thing that they're doing.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Encroaching.
Encroaching is, so you like encroach on territory. So it's like approaching a territory in a way that implies that you're going to take control of it. So yeah, settlers that are encroaching on their land, the settlers are getting closer and closer and closer to the land of those Indians, the Mohawks. Just means they were getting closer, and they were kind of getting closer in an aggressive way. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Subsequent. Does anybody know what subsequent means?
Like a consequence?
Yeah, so like the following war, like the war that followed. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions?
Sorry, alien? I don't know that.
Alien. An alien is a foreigner.
Oh,
align.
Align.
Can you repeat align?
Align.
I was gonna say I don't remember alien. So align themselves. It's like to put themselves on the side of something. Yeah, if something is not aligned, it's like going in the opposite direction of. And if something is aligned, like if you're making a fence, you have to align all of the sticks so they're facing the same direction. And so when you align yourself politically with somebody, it's like claiming that you have the same political, ideas as somebody else. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any other questions here? Okay, so this is just kind of ironic in that, you've got these settlers who are dressing up like Indians in order to say yeah, we're with the Indians and we want to be free. And then the Indians are like, you guys are crazy, you're stealing all our stuff. We're gonna fight with the British. So that's kind of what happened. And we are with Jean. Can you read the next part?
Of course, while neither Hular Lake or Ullswater
Oh,
has. Oh, I'm sorry.
we're actually with
It's
Boston
in
Harbor.
Boston. Oh, sorry.
No worries.
I need my glasses. I can't find it. But anyway, Boston Harbor. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, sorry
Uh,
about
Boston Harbor has a volume of about 0.44 cubic kilometers, which means that the tea brewed in 1773 would have been even more diluted than our Great Lakes tea. The harbor is also somewhat larger than Hula Lake or Ullswater, so all the tea in the world would still make Boston Harbor slightly too weak.
that. Good. Can you repeat slightly?
Slightly?
Uh-huh. And
Slightly too weak?
good.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you also read 6?
Sure. The tidal range in Boston is so large, over 3 meters, that the harbor's volume at high tide is nearly double what it's at low.
Nice. And let's look at brood.
Brood.
Dilute.
Sorry, could you say
Dilute.
that again?
Yeah, dilute.
Dilute.
You could also say diluted. Both would work. So in this case, you could. It doesn't really matter. Range
Range.
and harbors.
Harbors.
Yeah, so that the harbors volume, the harbors. Okay. Questions here.
Dilute.
Dilute.
Dilute. Dilute.
Yeah, it's like to make diluted. It's even more watered down. So it's weaker or less strong, more watered down. Does that make sense?
No.
Okay, so imagine you have an espresso and you want to make your espresso an Americano. And so that would imply you have to dilute it with water. So you just add hot water. And so the more water you add, the more dilute the coffee is. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Thank you. So yeah, just watered down. So the more water you put into something that has flavor, the more dilute it is.
Okay. And tidal.
Tidal range. What's the tidal range? Does anybody know? Okay, so tide is the way that the ocean changes. So the tide will rise and the tide will fall. And so the tidal range is the difference between the amount of water at high tide and the amount of water at low tide. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Yeah, it's like the effect that the moon have with in the sea and move the volume of water in the shore, or is completely different? Okay.
Yeah, so the tides are determined by the moon and to some extent the sun as well, mostly the moon. Yeah, and it just determines the height of the ocean.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. And can you read the comic, Giulietta?
I don't usually put quite this much salt in my tea. Still, this is the best the harbor's ever tasted.
Yeah. And there's also a line. that says, although it's a lot better since we built that treatment plant and stopped dumping all our raw sewage in. Yeah, which
Is it polluted?
it used to be more polluted than it is. It's not too bad. It's not very clean though. Anyways, I think we're with Giulietta. Can you read the next two paragraphs?
There is another problem, heat. If you wanted to make tea from a lake such as Ullswater or Wooler Lake, you'd have to heat the water up. Is that even possible? There is clearly enough stored energy in the world to do it. After all, we presumably heat that amount of water for tea every year already. We just do it in small batches around the world.
Yeah, presumably.
Presumably.
Good. Any questions here?
What does batches mean?
A batch is like a small amount. It's like a small,
Like
amount.
packages?
Kind of like a package. Like a, you often have like batches of cookies. So a batch of cookies is just like a certain amount of them. So like this would be like one batch. This would be another batch. If you got like batch production, like these are all batches. It's just like the group of something. Does that make sense? A batch is just a group, like a smaller group. Does that make sense, or do I sound kind of like an idiot? You get that?
It's fine.
Okay. Let's see if we can get like a. Yeah. So a quantity or a number coming at one time or taken together. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. And I think we're with. Now, can you read the next part?
To heat up water to 80 degrees, lots of people have very strong opinions on what this temperature should be. Please direct any corrections on this matter to What's If Tea related complaint
Department.
department. See, what it is.
CO. Not sure exactly what it means.
The department, Her Majesty the Queen, Buckingham Palace, London, SWA 1A1AA. Would take 6.6. How to read?
Joules.
Joules?
Yeah, it's a joule. Oh, 6.6 times 10 to the 16th joules.
Times 10?
To the 16th.
10 to the 16 joules of energy, about 20 days worth of written electricity consumption, which is loosely what would be released if you dropped a water bottle full of antimatter in the lake.
Okay, can you repeat roughly?
Roughly?
Yeah, roughly what would be released if you dropped a bottle. Okay, yeah. So that sounded good. And the care of is what Giulietta says CO stands for. Yeah. Yeah. And so he's just saying if you disagree with the temperature of a tea, yeah, I don't want to hear it. And any other questions here? Okay. Right, well. So water bottle full of antimatter. Jean, can you read the comic? John?
Sorry,
Julieta?
I was speaking in mute.
Ah,
How
no
many
worries.
calories are in this? Lots.
Good. And the next part?
Asking British to go without electricity for 20 days just to fill one of their lakes with tea seems like it might be a hard sell. Fortunately, there's an easier solution.
Nice. Okay. Asking Britain
Asking Britain.
to go without electricity for 20 days. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Maybe I think that sounded good. Read one more sentence.
Sure. Boiling Lake in Dominican is a volcanic lake about 60 meters across.
Okay.
Its
And in
temp.
there? Sorry. Thanks. Julieta, can you keep reading?
Oh, sorry.
No
Its
worries.
temperature varies, but it is often near boiling at the edge and regularly boiling in the center. Measuring the depth of the lake is difficult, so it's hard to get an estimate of the total volume.
And can you read the comic, Julieta?
Do you want to row out there to measure it? Let's just report that it's infinitely deep. Sounds good.
Infinitely deep. Infinitely.
Infinitely deep.
Good. Any questions here?
What is vigorously?
Vigorously.
Vigorously.
So it's like very intensely. So something is vigorous, it's like really intense. Make sense?
Okay.
Good. Any other questions? Okay. And now, can you read the next paragraph?
Flying Pan Lake in New Zealand, on the other hand, is the largest hot lake in the world. It has a volume of about 200,000
Square meters.
square meters and an average temperature of around 50 degrees. Not quite hot enough for tea, but much closer than Earth's water or Woollar Lake.
Good. Okay. And questions here. And can you repeat average?
Average.
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 It's more just two syllables. Average. Average.
Average.
Perfect.
Average.
Okay. And yeah, it sounded good. Let's have Jean. Can you read the next part?
New Zealanders consume about 600 grams of tea per person for a total of, sorry, carry.
Yeah, keep going. It's not really important.
Okay, for a total of 2,700 tons of tea. If they wait until frying pan lake got particularly hot, then drink it all in at once.
Then dunked it all in at once.
Then dunk it all in dunked. Then dunk it all in at once.
Nice. The next part?
They could brew a year's worth of a tea in minutes.
Nice. And Julieta, can you read the comic?
All our tea. We are making a good decision.
Good. And that's it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Yeah. So thanks again for coming in. I've got another class right after this. We'll talk about camping. Love to see you guys there. If not, have a really good day, and thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.